Hey everybody, it's Shay, the Holistic Doula here. I am sitting with another doula, but a different type, and we're going to go right into that. But I'm sitting here with Rev Rita. This is part of the Find Your People series, and as you guys know, we are highlighting the different people within the community, within the state of New Jersey, people that I speak with constantly, people who support other people and have services that are unique, and I'm just grateful to be sitting here with my person. This is Rev Rita. She is my grandmother, and I am glad to be able to present her to you guys and have her speak to you all. I thought that this would be a good series and interview to have because, as we all know, I'm a birth doula, postpartum doula. She is a board certified chaplain and bereavement doula, and hospice chaplain. So she deals with the other end as I deal with birth and mothers and babies and that celebration of life. She deals with the end of life and having to support and care for people throughout that capacity. So please introduce yourself to the people. Tell them a little bit more about you. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. It's my pleasure to be part of this series. And as Shay said, I am Reverend Rita. I wear many hats. I am a board certified clinical chaplain and pastoral counselor. I'm also I have a fellow in hospice and palliative care. And I am a hospice chaplain. I'm a clinical chaplain. I have been trained under the College of Psychotherapy, Pastoral Supervision and Psychotherapy, and I have been doing chaplaincy for quite some time now, and it is something that is not a job, but it has become a passion. In addition to doing chaplaincy, in addition to doing pastoral care, I am also an ordained Lutheran minister, and I serve 2 Lutheran communities. I am in Fort Lee, New Jersey, Blessed Hope Lutheran Church, and in Union City, St. John's Lutheran Church. I also formed a women's ministry. This is our 16th year. It's called Bawuji, and what that means is being a woman under God's influence. We have been meeting virtually now since the pandemic. We usually do retreats, but we are more spiritually focused, more biblical focused, and we have extended our doors, not now just to be a women's ministry, but we are a family ministry. So we have renamed ourselves Bawuji Sowing Seeds Family Ministry, because we have now opened up to include families, husbands and children. And we've had children in the group, but they're grown as well, and they want to continue to be part of the group. So I wear several hats, and I enjoy each hat. As I was saying the other day to Shana, I need to have a hat, a physical hat made, and just put it aside for everything that I do. So when I'm in this activity, I'll put on that hat. When I'm in another activity, I'll take off that one and put on the one that corresponds to what I do. Providing pastoral care, providing clinical care as a chaplain is very important, because at this time of life, and it should always have been like that, but particularly now, as we're going through or coming through this pandemic, we find that the ways that people have been grieving and the ways they have been attending to families have changed because of isolation, because of concerns. And so the need to have extra care, additional care, compassionate care has become more pressing. And what I do, I support families along that journey. Families are usually fearful. The person in the bed is fearful. They've got a prognosis of end of life at some point, and many times they're not sure how to deal with that. So as a clinician, and particularly a clinical chaplain, I come into their lives and I provide emotional and spiritual support. Many times when people hear the word chaplain, they're fearful. As a matter of fact, when they hear hospice as well, they feel that you're coming with bad news, and you're also coming maybe to evangelize or to preach to them, and many people are not ready for that. But as a clinical chaplain, preaching and evangelizing is not on my radar unless it is a concern or a need by the person with whom I'm visiting. So being present is the most important thing. I provide a ministry of presence, and in that ministry of presence, I validate the person that I'm speaking to or supporting. I encourage them. I listen. I do a lot of listening. Chaplains, we're not supposed to speak a lot, but we do a lot of listening, and we're listening not so much for what is being said, but in addition to that, for what's not being said, because as you listen, you are able to get an assessment of what this person is struggling with, and you're able to have them process what they're struggling with and make meaning of whatever it is they're going through. So as Shayla said, she is the life doula. I am the death doula. We are the two bookends, and we're coming together in people's lives, in community, in a much needed space to bring care, comfort, understanding to those who are going through new experiences. And certainly birth is a new experience, and death is a new experience. Sometimes people ask me, so what should I expect? I remember speaking to a patient. She was 102, and she was quite feisty, you know, and she wanted to die. She said, I've been here for a long time. I'm ready to die. I'm not afraid of dying. And I said, so what does that mean for you? Or what does that look like for you? And she said to me, she just quipped right back. She says, when I get there, I'll tell you. And so it is an experience, and a new experience. Some of us have some ideas of what we would like. Some of us have no idea of what it is, and we're struck by fear. And so the chaplain sits alongside to help to support those fears, to help to show that death is not just outside of life. It is a part of life, and we can talk about it. I create a space of trust, a space of acceptance, that people can be ready to speak about what they're feeling or what they would expect, or things that they never even thought about. I will allow them the time to process these sort of questions that may be coming up in their spirits.
Definitely. It's just amazing to see. I love the mirroring of what we do. And one of the things that I feel like the term doula has become new to a lot of people. People are just understanding what a doula is and what a doula does, or what it even means. And what it means is to care. If you're a doula, you are in service to. And so if you are a birth doula, you are in service to the birthing person. Postpartum doula, postpartum person. Bereavement doula, hospice chaplain, you are serving those who are going through that time. And I think that one of the biggest things that people ask is, why do I need one? You know, for what reason? The term doula, and that's like new and crunchy and different. And at one point it just was for certain individuals, right? They think of people who are of a certain society standard as the people who need doulas. But what do you say to those people?
Well, what do I need? Why do I need a doula? Or why do I need a chaplain? A lot of times I hear, I don't need you. I don't need a chaplain. But I allow them to see that the chaplain is not coming in their space to make them into what they're not. The chaplain is coming in to support them. So the word support and the word care is very important, that it gives people a space, and it gives them a way to decrease their anxieties, that they're not fearful of the person who's coming into their circle, because they're going through a lot as it is, and what they want is to either be left alone or to have someone who is able to speak with them, to respect them, to treat them with dignity. So why would you need a doula, or why would you need a chaplain? Because, as I say, as a chaplain, I provide emotional and spiritual support. And spiritual support does not necessarily mean religious support. Spiritual support supports your spirituality, whatever that may be, whatever is important and meaningful for your life. that you want to give credence to, and to help you now that you are at this journey where you are getting ready, preparing through your illness to depart this world. And so spiritual support or spiritual care is essential for a person's well-being. Just as how we plan for things in life, if you're going to have a graduation party or a wedding or a birthday or some significant event, you plan for it. So similarly, end of life planning. And there are many ways in which people plan. They plan for their funerals in terms of having a plot already picked out, or you know what they're going to wear or what they want to have said. But the actual journeying to that point can be a lonely journey. I have a book that I read and get a lot of good nuggets from it, and it says, the title of the book is "No One Has to Die Alone." As a matter of fact, in the hospitals, they have adopted the acronym NODA, N-O-D-A, no one dies alone. And so spiritual care is very much a part of a person's overall care. You have the nursing staff, you've got the doctor's care, you've got a care of a social worker, but you also have the care of a spiritual care, because the person's spiritual needs has to be attended to, because it helps that person to be represented holistically in mind, in body, and in spirit. And many times people are scared and they don't know what to expect, and they don't know what they should do. Should I just close my eyes and die? Family members are standing at bedsides and they are confused. The chaplain walks in. I walk in as a clinician. I always do my best to bring in an atmosphere of calm and support, listening, reflective listening, listening for what they're saying, listening for what's not being said, empathizing, validating. Their story is important. Tell me how you're feeling. What does this mean for you? You've been married for 60 years and you're watching your husband slowly depart. How does that make you feel? A lot of times people are stoic, and those kind of questions can make them weep or cry or think about really and truly, what does this mean? I don't want to leave my wife. I want to be here for her. I prefer that, you know, we can live to be 100 years old, and people have different ideas and different desires. And so the chaplain gives them a chance to share what they're feeling, gives them a chance to make meaning of what they're going through, give them a chance to accept and understand what their prognosis is and what their goals are for their quality of life. And certainly care is an integral part of a person's quality of life, because the statistics have shown, the theorists have shown, that the person who has some sort of spiritual sufficiency, that person is able to cope. It doesn't take away necessarily take away the pain or the fact of what's going on, but it allows them to cope with whatever it is they're dealing with.
And you know, you saying that makes me think of course, of birth, but I've read and personally experienced it in the birth world, is kind of the permission to be. You know, in many books, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, in some of the Buddhist books, there's different books, and they talk about giving the dying person the permission, you know, telling them that it's okay, because sometimes they feel that they must hang on, because just what you said, I'm staring at my husband who I've been married to for 90 years. You know, how am I going to say goodbye to this man? How is he going to cope without me? How is he going to be okay? And I think having that presence of a doula, of a chaplain, is kind of giving that light to hope that things will be okay. You know, there is life for the living after death. There is still things for them to experience, and I'm okay to go. In birth, that correlates to when moms, they're in labor and they don't feel secure. If a mom doesn't feel secure in her labor, she's not going to progress. A woman can essentially stop her labor if she doesn't feel that she's cared for, supported, and in a safe space. And once you create that atmosphere, then everything starts flowing. And this is when babies come come flying out. We have the fetal eject reflex, and that only happens in quiet, positive spaces for a mom, for a woman. So you saying that just made me think of that, and how sacred it truly is to one, be on the beginning, and then there to be at the end, to just give that, you know, well done. You can move on. Your family here is supported. And then that correlates to your bereavement care. That's what bereavement looks like too, which I know you said previously, but she extends bereavement care up to the first year for the families that are going through their grief, who have lost a loved one. Do you want to speak more on that?
Yes, and just before I go to the bereavement, I just wanted to just pick up with the permission to depart. A lot of times families raise their eyes when I say to them, you know, it is okay, you can give your loved one permission to die, but journey with them up to that point. I allow them to see that the journey of death doesn't have to be where you just lay down and close your eyes and die. It is a sacred time. It is a loving time. It's a time to make meaning. It's a time for forgiveness. It's a time for acceptance. It's a time to just connect with something that you never did or you wanted to do. And just saying to your family member, I love you. I thank you. You know, you've been suffering for a while, and it's okay, Mom, to die. We are going to be fine. You've taught us so much. We have a lot that you're leaving us. And, you know, we know that the end of life and death, just like coming into life, is in the hands of the Creator. And but just hearing that from family members, it gives that person who is dying peace. And lots of times they're holding on, and you see just even from their body language that they're just relaxed, and they just let nature take its course. So the care that one extends is not just the care for yourself, but it's the care for the other person, the person who's dying, that you want them to not struggle with end of life, but to be at peace with it. And so as a clinician, as a clinical chaplain, I encourage that. I encourage peaceful transcendence. I speak with family members. How would you like to see your loved one spend their last days? What can you do to make those last days peaceful for them and for yourself? And I encourage them to just do a life review if it's possible. Just talk about those things that mattered. Talk about celebrations, and laugh in the process if you can. And families want to know that they're able to not journey with their family members in fear, but journey with them with care and being supported by someone else. And of course, yes, I do bereavement support. And that's the time when I get to know a lot more about family members, because they're not now so burdened with struggling with preparing themselves and their loved ones for death, but they now can talk. And I do support for like 13 months, so I get a chance to hear much more from them, talk to them about their feelings, encourage their grief. And people grieve different ways, and their grief is very special and unique to them, and it's normal. We speak about things like that. So care comes in many, many ways. And being a chaplain, being a pastor, being a bereavement support counselor, I have the opportunity to not do this as a job, but do it with compassion and do it with empathy. Allowing people to feel that ministry of presence, that, you know, when the chaplain walks in, or when Reverend Rita walks in, they know that she's coming in here not so much to tell them what to do, but to hear from me how I'm doing.
I love that. And as we speak on care, I think this is super important to throw in there, because doula work on any capacity is a lot of emotional, spiritual pouring into and receiving from others. And so I'm really big on self-care for myself as a doula. So that means I go and I get the massages after a birth, and I make sure to cancel my schedule after a long birth, because sometimes these things could even be triggering and traumatizing. Because personally, I think doula work comes from a place of you either needing that service yourself or providing that service without realizing that you were providing it, and that brought you into that work. So it can stir up some things within yourself sometimes if the outcome doesn't happen as you thought, or however it may go. So what do you do, and what do you emphasize for self-care? How do you make sure that you can maintain that peace?
Self-care is essential. It's extremely essential, because it's difficult to care for others if you are not cared for. And, you know, rightly so, at the end of a day, you're picking up everyone's stress. I am picking up their stress. I am, you know, I care about what I'm seeing and hearing, and of course it resonates to me. And so I find, I try to create my own downtime. Coming home for me is self-care, because I'm coming into my sanctuary. I'm coming home to food and to dinner, and I like to cook, and I'm coming home to do a Bible study. And those are the things in my life that causes me a lot of comfort, and it causes me, creates satisfaction. I don't get out to the massages as often as I should, but when I do those, I love that as well. But my self-care is more spiritually driven, and I find peace in my family and with my family. I find peace in the little things around me. I find peace just opening the Bible and reading. I find peace in praying. I find my body is relaxed, you know, just laying on the bed, and just I try to free my mind from any thoughts and not thinking at all, and that is peaceful to me. So self-care for me is just being in my own space and enjoying what's around me.
Same. Right. And luckily I have you to bounce. I think one of the big things for me is also getting to say out loud what the experience was. I think that brings most people comfort, but just getting to talk it over, because there could be something that happened at the birth and I'm like, I can't believe this happened, and I want to talk about it, but of course not with the mom who is going through it. So it's nice to be able to come home. Sometimes I talk my husband's ear off. He's quite versed in birth now. He kind of knows how it goes, and that is relieving to just be able to unload and relax and just have that safe space of being home, to debrief and decompress with somebody. So thank you for those tidbits. Thank you for those jewels dropped. If you could please share how people can get in contact with you. Regarding Bewuji, I was thinking if it's open to members, which I know that it is, joining Bible study, and just if they wanted to contact you, had any questions in any capacity.
Sure. Bewuji is always open to members. In the Bewuji capacity, we have a Thursday midday prayer time from 12:30 to 1:30. Thursday evenings we do Bible studies from 8:15 to 9:30, 9:45. We have a lot of other good spiritual stuff that we attend to that keeps us well in our mind, in our bodies, and in our spirits. If you're looking for a chaplain, you want a pastor, you want a bereavement counselor, I'm here. My email address is the easiest way you can be in touch with me. It's Rita Baker, BAKR @gmail.com. And of course, you can always get to me through Shayna. We're just a few steps away from each other.
Yes, we are. Yep. And I will drop her contact information in the detail box below, so you guys can reach out if you have any questions. If this is a path that you've been looking to go, I know a few people upcoming, and now they're speaking of bereavement and being a bereavement doula, and a hospice doula, being there for people at end of life. And I often refer to her, but if you are one of those people, please feel free to utilize her. She's my grandmother, but she's kind of everybody's grandmother. So it's a great resource to have, especially if you are in the New Jersey, New York area. And any final words?
I'm going to borrow the phrase from my employment, which is a phrase that I really and truly believe in. To care is an honor. And so when I step out in care and to care, whatever form it may take. It is an honor. You look around and you see a hurting world. There's so much that's going on, and just imagine being alone, no one to talk to, no one to understand. I value my role, my training as a clinician, a clinical chaplain, that allows me a very unique place where I can be a ministry of presence, just listening, sometimes not even speaking, just allowing someone into a space or going into their space and making that space a worthy place for them. And so for me, I'm here to care, and I do it with the best of my ability. And no one should be alone. No one should die alone. No one should suffer alone. So I extend my hand and I extend my heart in care to others. May God bless you.
Thank you. Peace and love, you guys. Thank you for joining us. Bye.